to. All right. So I want to show you how to, we're going to do one line graph example. And then I'm going to give you a few minutes to go through this line graph practice. And then see if you have any questions, so you guys can do it on your own and see if questions arise. Then we'll talk about this second line graph, and then we'll kind of actually move right on to this bar graph. Okay, bar graph, doing this bar graph practice. Okay, without or bar graph example, I should say. Okay. So first thing I wanted to show you just some features of Google Sheets here. So if you notice, when I go up, scroll up and down, that the top doesn't go anywhere. Okay, and in order to do that, what you do is you select whatever cells. So you select this cell right here. I usually, like, wherever you want to start the or end the it's called a freeze. You freeze the cells. If you want to do that, you just select this cell and then go to view and then freeze and then up to current row. And now all these rows will be frozen. Okay, and I can unfreeze them too. If I hit no rows, now none are frozen. Okay, I can even freeze up to cell 4 if I want. So view, freeze, up to current row 4. Gotcha, Kaylee. So there now row 4 is frozen, but I don't really want that. Okay, freeze, no rows, and then I just want these first two frozen. So view, freeze, up to current row 2. We don't have to freeze them. Let's say we had lots and lots of data here. Let's say we had like 30 lines, like 30 rows of data. As we would scroll down, we would lose this, what indicates what it is, right? And really this is better for something like if you had like lots of different trials, let's say, or lots of different data. Not so much for graphing, I'd say, but for other types of charts or tables. I do one with, like, I keep track of all my stocks that I invest in, and I freeze the first two rows, and then I have the stock, the exchange, the initial price, the number of shares purchased, a whole bunch of information here, and then I have a whole bunch of stocks. And it's more than can fit on the screen at one time. So then as I scroll down, I still see my titles. So I still know what each thing means as I go along. Okay, so not so important for this, but I think it's important if you do want to use this for other purposes. Okay, another thing is how to merge cells. So you'll notice that this is all one thing right here, right? So I can so format and then merge cells, and then I can unmerge. So now unmerge. So now they're all separate. Okay, but if I want to have them all just one line here, I can go select on this whole thing, and then format, merge cells, and merge all. So now this is just one line, one cell. Okay, this comes important, so we're going to look at it when we do, let's see, I think the bar graph one, the bar graph example. See how I merge this, because now I have, I merge these two cells, I merge these two cells, and then this is week 1, week 2. It just makes it look a little bit neater. Okay, so merging cells. Okay, so just a couple little tricks there. The other thing is text wrapping. So if you look at this one here, it goes absorbance ABS. There is this little guy right here. If you have overflow, then it kind of goes into the next cell. But you can clip it too. You can clip it where it just stops it. Or I like it text wrapping. So now that as it continues, it just keeps going more and more into the cell. So you can just like, if you were to write like this, just say, make up something, it wraps it and brings it down. Okay. So that's some little things at the moment. Once you put in all your data, so I put in the data already just to save ourselves some time here. But once you put in the data, if you want to put the little lines, this is where you do it here, borders right there. And then we can get rid of the borders if you want, or we can put more borders, or we can change the color of it. We can change the border style, right? We can also do it so if you want the top board, this one to be darker than the others, you just select on those ones in particular, and then go here and then change the, you can make it thicker. So it's a little bit thicker on top. You can't really tell, but it is thicker on top than on the bottom ones. So I'm sure you've seen some graphs where the top's thicker than the other ones. Okay, so that's just some of those things. Let's talk about how to create this graph right here. So we're creating this line graph. A couple things about the line graph. I also included this equation. This is a linear equation. So we get y equals mx plus b. Okay, so we can actually do that too. We can label the title, label the axes, and all that good stuff. So what I'm gonna do actually is I'm gonna delete this, and I'm gonna show you how to make it. Okay, so Google Sheets has made it really, really, really easy. When I originally started using Google Sheets, it wasn't as good, but it's gotten so much better now, and it's so easy, even easier than Excel. I used to use Excel for this, but now I use Google Sheets most of the time. So first thing you want to do is highlight all your information here. You always want to do X versus Y, because when you want to do your X first and then your Y second, your independent, and then your dependent variables. Whenever you put your data in the chart here, you want to do that anyway, but Google Sheets also will make this X and this Y, like regardless of what it actually is. All right. It also is really nice because now if you have the titles, it adds the titles as your axes, as the name of your axes. If you even had a title here, if you put a title here and you highlight that, that will even post on your graph as well. So like even if I change this, let's say I change this to determination of percent copper and brass. We'll see if this works. It worked for the other one too. If I highlight this as well as all this, yeah, I think it's fine if we do that. When I hit the graph part or the chart part, it'll work. It might work. We'll see. We'll try it out. Okay, so I highlight all my data. Then you can do either one of two ways. You can go insert and chart here, or if you go to these little dots right here, the chart is here. It's the same thing. Insert and chart, or chart, insert chart. Doesn't matter which button you hit, does the same thing. Okay, now as you see it here, it automatically did it for me. And actually, I kind of like that it didn't put the titles, because I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so we're not doing a column chart here. We're not doing columns. We're going to do a XY scatter. Okay, I like to XY scatter charts. Okay. So our x-axis is our concentration and molarity, which is what we want it to be. That's our independent variable. And our y-axis is our absorbance. So we can see that the y-axis is actually labeled series. Okay, so the series is actually the y-axis, and that's the absorbance. Okay, here it'll also tell you it'll also give you options of what the range is. Okay, so the data range here is A1 to Z8. Really, we only actually need, we can change this. We don't need Z8. We just need actually B8. Let's change it to that. So what these numbers are referring to is this is column A, cell 1, and then column B, cell 8. So it goes all the way from A1 to B8 in a kind of diagonal direction there. Let's see if that works. It doesn't really change much, I guess. But that's really the only range we're really concerned with. So that doesn't matter. Okay. This one, the series, the Y values will tell you these ones here. So it's the absorbance. So whatever's in the absorbance column here. Okay. Yeah. We can use, let's see here. Well, we'll just leave it like that. That's fine. Okay, if we did it the other way, if we get rid of this, let's just say we do this. Usually it'll give us an even better chart. Does most of the work for us already. Okay. Kind of did a nice, if you just have the two columns with two labels and then do that, it'll put the absorbance versus, so X versus Y, or Y versus X, I should say. And then it labels the axes for us already. So, I mean, that's super, super simple. But let me show you how to edit that anyway. So if you want to edit the chart, so like let's say this goes away, the chart editor, you just can double click on the chart. So, or really hit these little buttons if you want, or you can double click on it and this will come up. Okay. Then once we have our scatter chart, so we want an XY scatter chart here, then we want to customize it. We want to change some things. Chart and axes titles. So here, this is where you're going to change your title. So if this didn't come up, so we can change our vertical axis, horizontal axis, chart title. So I'm going to change our chart title, and I'm going to change it to termination of percent copper and brass. Okay, and then I want it centered, so I'm going to change it to centered. Okay, we can even change the color of it if you want. We can make it blue, we can make it red, doesn't matter. We can change the font size, we can change the font we want, doesn't matter, all that stuff. If you want to change the axes title, so we can change the vertical axis title, its absorbance, and that's fine. That's what it should be. Okay, we can change the horizontal axis title, its concentration and molarity, and we can even just write M, make it easier. Don't worry about what molarity is. We didn't do that yet. Okay, so we can change all those things here. Really super, super simple. Okay, then we also want to add a line of best fit. Line of best fit. Okay, so in order to do this, we hit series, and series is basically our values here. That's what the series is. We can change the color of the dots if we want. So we can make it purple if we want. If we have multiple series, they'll all come up here, and you'll be able to click between them and change the color of the dots. Okay, and you can do each series separately. Okay. Here we're going to want to add a trend line. That trend line is that line of best fit I was talking about. It's going to be linear. So for the other examples, we can actually add an exponential one, polynomial, logarithm. We can add all different ones, which is pretty awesome in here. Okay. The exponential one was like that bacteria one we did yesterday. We're just going to stick to linear right now. I'm trying to keep it pretty simple. Okay, I clicked off it by accident. So linear. Label, we want to use the equation. We want to show the equation for the line. So now you see the equation here. This is y equals mx plus b. So 2.1 times x plus 0.0738 equals y. Okay, so that's our y equals mx plus b. And then our r squared value. So r squared, that shows us how close this line is to our data. Okay, the closer it is to 1, if r squared is 1, that means our line matches perfectly with our data. Okay, but 0.986 means that it's a little bit off from our data, and that's okay. That's okay. And that's what the r squared value means. Okay, now we can also, I'm going to show you in the other, the next line graph we do, how to scale it. We can change the scale of it, but I guess we'll do that next. We'll do that next. Okay, so what I want you to do right now is try this line graph practice number 1. I'm gonna stop the video. Okay, so again, to graph, first thing, select what you need to graph here, including the titles. I like to include the titles. It makes it. Google Sheets does a really good job of making the titles or the axes, labeling the axes when you select them. Okay, the next thing, hit Insert Chart. And it pretty much did a lot of it for us already. There's a few things we can change. I want to change the chart title. I want to just put it in the center. Okay, and then everything's kind of done for us already here. But one thing you may notice is that it's like all the data is up here and there's all this empty blank space. Okay, now there might be blank space in the y-axis, or usually not the x-axis, but the y-axis. Usually there'll be some space here, and we can eliminate this. We can make this so it looks a little bit nicer here. Okay, and what we need to do is in the customize section. So we had the setup and then the customize. Then you go to series. I believe it's series. Okay, and we want to select the one, the y-axis here, the density. Okay, and then we want to, oh, maybe it's not that. Oh, it's the vertical. We go to vertical axis. Sorry. So vertical axis. So this is the vertical axis. Goes straight up and down. That's why it's called the vertical axis. And we want to change the minimum value here. So right now the minimum value is 0, but from 0 to 0.75, there's like no data. Okay, I'm going to go all the way up to like 0.9. So I'm going to say that the minimum value, I want to see the minimum value be at 0.9. Let's see how that looks. Now you see the data kind of got stretched out a little bit. You see a little bit more of a linear relationship here. It's a little bit more obvious. We could probably even stretch it out even more. Let's do it even 0.95 maybe. Oops. 0.95. Let's try this again. 0.95. Oh, why is that not working? Anyway, we can even change the scale factor if we want. We can do, so default here, it's 0.95. It's 0.05 is the scale. Okay. How about 0.99? Okay, that worked. I don't know why that worked better, but yeah, you can change the minimum value so that now if you see that it just looks a little bit better. You see the data a little bit better. It fills out the whole chart. Okay, it fills out the whole chart. Okay, now typically I know we want the oh, did I click on the wrong thing? Is that what happened? I don't know why I did that. Anyway, so typically we want the data to take up the whole chart. We don't want like big areas of blank space. Okay, so again, you can change the vertical or horizontal axis and change the minimum or maximum. So this one's still 0. It's default at 0. So even if I just wanted to change it because I don't know why. There was a little glitch there that made it 0.99. I don't know why I did that or glitched. But anyway, yeah. So there you go. Now you have a little bit nicer line there. Okay. And then we do want to add that trend line. So again, adding that trend line in the series part of it. Then we go to trend line. It's linear in this case. Show R squared value. We also want to show the equation. So this is a perfect linear. This is a perfect line pretty much. Our R squared is 1. Okay, so that's the only thing I want to show you, the scaling of it. Okay, now let's look at the bar graph. So bar graph here, we have 2 sets of data. So day of the week, number of visitors, and then week 1, week 2. Okay, we want to compare week 1 and week 2 using a bar graph. Okay, so it's going to come out like this. So again, we're going to take our data, highlight it, okay, and then we're going to insert chart. Okay, and then because I had used XY scatter before, it's using an XY scatter again, but that's not what I want. Okay, I want a bar graph. Simple enough. Okay, we're not stacking them. If we stack them, it looks like that. I don't really like that. None. So we're just putting them side next to each other. Okay. Our data range, again, if you didn't want to just do it the way I did it, you could change the data range in here. Okay. The x-axis, day of the week, week 1, week 2 are the 2 series you have. Week 1, week 2 are the 2 series. You can change those as well. Okay. In order to change that, so I can, if I wanted to change this data series right here, just select this, and then I can change the cell. So this is B2 to B8. I could change that if I wanted to, or I can even, I think you can even select it. Like you can do that to change it. Okay. Then customize, and I want to change all the so the axes. This one on the side doesn't have a label at the moment. Okay. And I also want to change the chart title. So chart title would be pet store visitors. Okay. Center it. Looking pretty. And then I don't have a vertical axis title at the moment. There is none. So that'd be number of visitors. And as you see here, this one is messed up. It's not really right. So we can change that one too to day of the week. And that's pretty much it for the bar graph there. Pretty much it. Okay. I'm going to stop the recording.